people who have been in my life for 20 years, so they saw me go through 5 years of pain back in my late teens, early 20s, and then see me going through it this time, and it seems to be a completely different beast. And they've asked me, what is the difference? Because your pain was quite high back then, and yet it didn't seem to affect your life the same way it does this time. And it's a very true statement, and I've thought about that a lot. And I think what the big difference is the how much the nervous system has been affected this time around. So for whatever reason, whether it was because I was younger, in better shape, I really don't know what the answer is, but for whatever reason, back then, I had pain. It was quite a high level of pain most of the time, and yet I was still able to function at a very high level. I was finishing my university degree, I was working quite a bit with the varsity football team as an athletic therapist. I was dancing right up until the day before my surgery. I never stopped dancing. And yet this time around, it has affected every single aspect of my life. And what is the big difference? The big difference that I can see and that I understand is how much the nervous system was sensitized this time around. For whatever reason, this time the pain didn't just stay local to the tissues, but my nervous system, I guess as some sort of, not a defense mechanism, but the way my nervous system ended up handling the pain this time was that it became extremely sensitized. So that now I am very reactive to noise, to light, to sensation. Sometimes just the raw material on my skin will be enough to trigger the pain. A lot of cognitive changes. There was a period of several years where normally I'm someone who's always reading, usually a book for pleasure and at least one book professionally all at the same time. Now I found myself in a position where I couldn't even read a sentence and retain it. I spent 2 years reading the same, or trying to read the same paragraph, and I would read it over and over and over, trying to see if I could recall it after reading it. And for 2 years I was not able to regurgitate back what I had just read. And at this point I wasn't even trying to read a professional book. I was reading something very, very simple. It was a fictional, I think it was actually a romance novel, because I was trying to keep it really, really easy. And I just couldn't. And I remember one day in my office finding myself unable to add 7 plus 2. If you had held a gun to my head, I would not have been able to figure out what 7 plus 2 was. And this is coming from someone who math was my favorite subject all throughout school, and mental math was something that just came easy to me. If you say numbers, I just see them in my head, and mental math was always easy. It was really terrifying to see that my brain was so affected by what was going on. I felt stupid. I felt unable to give any of the workshops and lectures that were so much a part of my professional life. I would find myself, while treating clients, sometimes unable to find the words to explain to them what I was doing. I'm someone who thinks that the more you understand about the body, the more you can heal, so I like to educate people about the anatomy and the physiology as I'm working on them. And I found myself unable to find even simple words like the or it. I would not be able to get the word from my brain to my mouth. So that was the big difference, that the tentacles of the chronic pain reached out and touched every single aspect of my life this time around, and still continues to today. Cognitively it's gotten much better, but I had to do a lot of work. So aside from all of the different things I was doing for the pain itself, I also started working on the cognitive level. So I actually went back to the dollar store and bought those workbooks that you would buy for kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and did all of the exercises in there. Things like, tracing through the maze and connecting the dots and coloring in the lines and word searches and crosswords and Sudoku and simple math. And it took me about 3 years of this kind of work to finally get to the place where now I feel I have my brain back, that I'm able to not only read for pleasure, but I'm actually able to read professional information, and I can retain the information, and I can now get back to, finally this past year, 9 years in, I'm getting back to lecturing again, and feel very capable too finally, which took a long time.